The 992 series version of Porsche's 911 GT3 sets an even faster and more rewarding benchmark for what a track-tuned super sports car can be. With changes to suspension, aerodynamics and more power, enthusiasts will find it utterly addictive. This is the most capable GT3 ever.
When it comes to motorsport-tuned Porsche 911s, one version has always stood above all others, the GT3. Priced at the level of a 911 Turbo, but with rear-wheel drive and a race-ready manual gearbox option, the GT3 has long been the enthusiast's choice in this iconic model line. But of the many GT3 models we've had down the years, none represents a greater step forward than this 992 series version. Key changes lie with aerodynamics and suspension. Aero has been enhanced so much that there's now up to 385 kilos of downforce, a massive 150% more than before. And suspension changes see a front double wishbone design implemented for the first time in 911 history. It delivers the usual uber-firm GT3 ride quality though, which is why you might prefer the very slightly more road-ready touring package GT3 model that we're trying here. The GT3 unique 4-litre, normally aspirated engine in play here has gained 10 PS in this 992 series version of this model, but the 510 PS flat 6 power plant isn't the real story here. With this 992 generation GT3, Porsche has gone to very considerable trouble of re-engineering the suspension specifically for this track-tamed variant. Unless you count the Le Mans spec $1 million 911 RSR racer, the 911 model line has never featured front double wishbone suspension, but this 992 era GT3 gets it, together with revised multi-link rear suspension too. Otherwise, the four-wheel steering system wouldn't work as Porsche wants it to. You immediately notice that front suspension change. Response from the wheel is even more instant and precise than it would normally be from a 911. Like a race car? Yep, pretty much like that. The ride is like a race car too, which isn't great for a typical British B road, where the standard GT3 is easily thrown about by bumps and cambers, sometimes somewhat disconcertingly, which is why our preference would be for the GT3 touring package model we're trying here, which is still stiff, but a much better road car, particularly when specified with either of the more road-focused tyre packages that Porsche offers. As we said earlier, the other key 992 series GT3 change lies with aerodynamics, an aggressively profiled front spoiler, and on the standard model, a simply huge rear wing with swan neck stanchions. With all the bits added and at maximum speed, Porsche says the standard GT3 develops 385 kilograms of downforce, which is why this car is 18 seconds quicker around the Nürburgring Nordschleife than the last one. The rest to 62 mph time is 3.4 seconds on the way to a maximum speed of 198 miles an hour. The stats hardly any different if you choose the 6-speed manual gearbox we're trying here, rather than the 7-speed PDK paddle shift automatic. The engine spins to 9,000 revs, you can hold second gear at up to 80 miles an hour, and it's all accompanied by a wonderful combination of intake roar and valve train scream. There's nothing else quite like it. Most of the time you'll be in third, which is a wonderfully wide-spaced ratio. As you'll know if you're a long-time GT3 enthusiast, drive is from the rear only, this variant spurning the heavy four-wheel drive system from the 911 Turbo. So for traction through the corners, you rely instead entirely on a locking differential that works alongside the car's brake-based torque vectoring system. And talking of brakes, track-ready ceramic discs with urgent stopping power are standard, as they should be. Refinement has of course been sacrificed in the name of weight saving for this track-focused variant, but there's a little less of a cruising din than on earlier generation GT3s we've tried. You really have to pay the extra for the optional front axle lift system, otherwise speed humps and ramps are going to be a constant challenge. You'd know at a glance that this wasn't any ordinary 911, even with the GT3 in this dialed-down touring package form. Particularly noticeable are these twin bonnet nostrils, though actual cooling's taken care of by this wide lower intake. Most owners will probably want to fit the car out with these tinted LED Matrix X-Sight headlamps, which include the intelligent Porsche Dynamic Light System Plus setup. In this touring guise, the car loses the standard model's wild rear wing with its unusual swan neck stanchions in favour of this more conventional spoiler that rises at speed. But this 911 still looks pure GT3 with a scalloped rear bumper and a shotgun-style central twin exhaust, flanked on either side by a ribbed lower diffuser. At the front, those nostrils in the carbon fibre bonnet, combined with an aggressively profiled front bumper, feature lots of matte-finished chicken wire additions. The wheels are 20 inches at the front and 21 inches at the back, shod in this case with Pirelli P0 tyres and fitted with carbon ceramic brakes. Inside, low-slung Sports Seat Plus four-way adjustable front chairs are standard. But if you're going to be engaging in occasional track visits, you'll prefer the pricey option of the full bucket seats we have here. Unlike in other 911s, the GT3 has no tiny rear seats, not even in this touring package form, in which guise you can't add in the half roll cage behind the seats that can be fitted to the standard GT3. Without that cage fitted, the advantage of no rear chairs is that there is around 3 times more cabin space, though with the non-folding bucket seats, it's difficult to get at it. Apart from the GT3 branded gear stick, everything else is as with any other 992 series 911. Here we've got an extremely pricey two-tone leather interior specified, which includes this lovely twin-stitched dash top. Finishing is just about at the standard you'd expect for the price being asked here, including this tyre tread style fascia covering, smart-grained lower surfaces and piano black trim around the gear stick and climate controls. As you'd expect in a 911, through the grippy 3-spoke wheel you view a defiantly analogue central rev counter, without which a Porsche simply wouldn't be a Porsche. The two 7-inch readouts that sit either side of it are actually configurable freeform displays. The left-hand one has 2 virtual dials, one a speedometer to supplement the digital speedo in the rev counter, and on the far left, a readout for time and outside temperature. More of what you'll want though lies on the right-hand side of the rev counter gauge. The whole of the screen on this side can show GPS mapping, or it can subdivide into 2 virtual dials to mirror those to the far left of the binnacle. The smaller far right-hand one shows engine temperature and fuel, while the larger one next to the rev counter is configurable via steering wheel buttons, showing either a stopwatch, G-forces, tyre pressures, a gear shift assist screen, a performance torque graph, drive modes, engine temperatures with pressures, and finally trip data. You can also use the steering wheel buttons to select an available track view layout, which distills information covered by screens on both sides of the rev counter down to only what you really need to see. As usual with a 911, just about everything else you need to know is covered off by a generously sized 10.9-inch flush-mounted Porsche Communication Management touchscreen display in the centre of the dash. This has a right-hand vertical menu bar with home, nav, audio, phone and car sections, or alternatively, you can customise the screen layout with big widgets. Here, for instance, we've got phone, radio and map. Swipe left for more options and you'll come to a screen of selectable icons, including all the main options on the right-hand menu bar, plus others for things like a calendar, weather, news and the car's Sport Chrono stopwatch system. The main section you'll be using is Car, which is divided into drive and trip functions. Drive is your dashboard for dealing with drive modes, auto blip for a gear shift change down, the throaty status of the sports exhaust, the position of the rear spoiler, and the chassis setting Sport or Track. Cabin practicalities are inevitably limited. There's a big glove box and a shallow lidded storage area between the seats with twin USB-C ports. Other than that, you're limited to ticket clips on the sun visors and this single, rather ugly, central cup holder, which, if there are two of you, will lead to inevitable disagreements at the Starbucks drive-thru. Under the bonnet, there's this model line's usual small 132-litre boot, but it's deep enough to comfortably take your helmet back and include a warning triangle and this bright right-hand LED light. There are two versions of the 911 GT3 available, the standard one and the touring package variant we've tried. At the time of our test in spring 2023, Porsche wanted an identical amount for both, just under £136,000. For committed billionaire racers, the brand also offers an even faster 911 GT3 RS model with power uprated to 525 PS. But that cost £178,500 at the time of our test and really will probably only suit if you own a racetrack or happen to have one in your back garden. With the two ordinary GT3 models, we'd suggest that you think seriously about tyres, particularly if you've gone for this more road-orientated touring package version. We'd swap out the circuit-orientated Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 rubber for one of the two other more road-spec tyre options Porsche offers, Pirelli P0, which is what we have here, or Goodyear Eagle F1. If you are committed to a circuit spec for your GT3, bear in mind that you'll need the standard model if you want to fit a rear roll cage. The popular Club Sport package, also only available on the standard model, comprises that half roll cage plus multi-point harness seat belts, a fire extinguisher and a battery cutout switch. It remains a mainstay of the options list. Most customers spend big on luxury extras. This touring package version has almost £20,000 worth of additional features fitted, like full bucket seats, the front axle lift system, the Porsche Dynamic Light System Plus, the Chrono package, a Bose surround sound system and the Park Assist setup with a rear view camera. Not exactly an excessive list, and all very nice to have. Some things to consider here. You're driving a £140,000 car that in 5 years will probably be worth somewhere in the region of £90,000. So enjoy it. Drive it as Porsche envisaged, and of course you're not going to come anywhere near the 21.9 mpg combined economy figure or 293 grams per kilometre emissions claim. It's 292 grams per kilometre for this touring package version. Perhaps Porsche should monitor owners and invoke a compulsory buyback scheme if average economy tops 20 miles per gallon. But seriously, this is never going to be a cheap car to run. A couple of track days will see off a set of the gumball Michelin Pilot Sport tyres, not helped by the fact that they're different sizes at each end. Insurance is a top-of-the-shop Group 50, with some insurers deviously looking to load policies still further for cars fitted with roll cages. So you know that thing about 911s being affordable to run once you've got over the shock of the initial purchase price? Well, it doesn't necessarily apply here. This is a more mature breed of 911 GT3. In its standard form, the best ever for track time. And in this touring package, guys, the best ever for road use. Take your pick. Either way, in terms of driving involvement, no other rival even comes close. You could pay 2 or 3 times what Porsche is asking here and easily end up with a supercar which wouldn't even see which way this GT3 went on a twisting racetrack. And even in this slightly softened touring package form, the racetrack is where this Extreme 911 feels most at home. If you've neither the time or the inclination to regularly take this car there, then we'd suggest that for you, a 911 GTS would be a better, more satisfying choice. But for a dedicated few, only a GT3 will do. And after trying this one, we can understand why.